Question, do you or do you not have an emergency fund? I'm going to get right into it as soon as I play my Sunday afternoon song, of which I love. Be right back. Hey, this is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City. Saves money. Getting a little personal here, asking you, do you have an emergency fund? What is an emergency fund? Well, it's a fund for emergencies. I know it sounds simplistic, but sometimes people are so caught up just with the living paycheck to paycheck and thinking as long as you could squeak by every single week or every paycheck to paycheck, everything will be A-okay. I'm going to tell you a true story. And for those that might have heard it before, maybe want to refresh your course to listen to it again. But I've had so many brand new viewers and subscribers in the last few months, I think it only fair that I bring up this story. Picture this. Remember the old lady that used to say that on an old TV show? Picture this. This was a true story, and it happened to me. This happened to me on Valentine's Day, 1997. Sometimes everyone thinks that their job, even though they're good at what they do, even though their boss loves them, even though the folks around them loves you, you're always on time, you never take a day off, you think you're in forever. You are so secure. No. N-O. Please keep this in your mind. You could be the best worker in the world. You could provide the best services in the world. That doesn't mean that you are exempt from the possibility of ever getting fired or laid off. I was never fired from a job in my life. I was laid off, and there is a difference, laid off from this position. But I'll tell you all about it. I worked in a medical office environment. I was a manager at a major hospital for a very, very prominent physician. Did a great job, got glowing reports, got my regular raises, A-okay. Hardly ever missed a day of work, was late in the 7 or 8 years that I was there, was late 0 times. To me, that is a stellar record, right? So you think, hey, if things keep up the way it is, I could do that thing forever and ever and ever. Wrong. Sometimes things beyond your control happen. Well, I'll tell you a story. I'll never forget it. It was Valentine's Day of 1997. All was going well. And they even had me be a party planner. Yes, so I planned the Valentine's Day party for the staff and the management. Everything was great. Everybody was having a ball, including me. Who knew what was going to happen as soon as that party was over? Let me tell you this. It was a shocker, and it was not funny at all whatsoever. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from management. I'm like, well, why would management call to thank me for that beautiful party? No. They asked me to go to their office on another location, on another floor. I said, this is weird. Like, weird. I rarely get a call like that. So, okay, so I go over there. And I was told, Janet, we love you. Thank you very much for your years of services here. But we are giving you notice. Get it? We are giving you notice. Whenever you hear those words. And they said that you have 2 weeks, so, you know, whatever, giving you 2 weeks notice, and that day, whatever date it was a Friday, will be your last day on the job. Okay. I said, may I ask why? I don't have a bad record here. I don't get it. Because A to C, what happened at point B? Of course, I want to know what happened. Not your fault. You did nothing wrong. Interdepartmental changes. They were having problems of mismanaging their management. And the person that spoke to me said, don't feel too badly, Janet. It's out of your hands. It's nothing we could do. Your position was eliminated. Oh, really? Thanks. Thanks for all your notice. Guess what? 7 other people, their positions were eliminated too. because the whole thing changed. The whole thing out of nowhere, no foreseeable warning, zero. So I walked back to my desk. Of course, I walked back in a state of shock. Everybody's looking at me like, huh? They didn't pay much attention. I didn't say a word. I sat down like a zombie because I knew the fate already of the 7 people to follow. Their phones rang in a subsequent order. One by one, those people came back like a zombie, but not in a good way, in a sad way. We all just looked at each other. We didn't utter a sound. I don't think I'll ever forget that day ever. How could I? I said, I did nothing wrong. I was a good worker. Why should this happen to me? Why should this happen to them, these lovely other people? We have kids. We have families. We have bills to pay. We gotta have a roof. Very not fun. Very not fun. Just want to say, you can be the best worker in the world, and that can happen to you. Oh, I'm going to give you a beautiful reference letter, of which I did get, and I got a glowing report on it. Thank you. Well, to be honest with you, I lived in walking distance of where I used to work, and there were huge avenues to cross with many, many cars, lots and lots of oncoming traffic. You know how it is in New York. Let me tell you something. I don't know how I got home in one piece because my mind was not on the traffic for the first time. I'm always quite attentive to things like that, especially. That day, I just floated home because I lived in walking distance. I floated home a few blocks crossing major avenues with two-way traffic. There's God, and he's watching, and he definitely watched over myself, and I'm sure the remaining people who got their unexpected notice. Very not fun day. Went into my unit, sat down. I said, I can't believe this. Like, they promised a nice severance package, whoop-de-doo, of which I did get, whoop-de-doo. But a friend of mine said, we were all like clamoring on the phone. We were calling each other up all afternoon that day. Jan, do you have any sick days coming to you? Yeah, 10. Take them. What? I said, well, that's dishonest. They said, no, if you're upset, you need a mental day off, and they're coming to you. If you do not take them, you're not going to get them. You do not get paid for the sick day. I said, you know what? Those persons were right. I said, well, do you have sick days? All of a sudden, everybody suddenly got sick. But I did manage to use a couple. That's okay. I lost a few because I'm a good, honest person. I have a thing called a conscience. Okay. But I did need some space to figure out my financials. Can I tell you something? I am so glad, grateful, kiss the floor, kiss the ceiling, kiss anything, that I had my emergency funding in place. Others that got laid off, many of them didn't. They didn't know what was going to happen. They only had to live on their unemployment. Thankfully, I was prepared. So I'm sorry about repeating the story for a veteran viewer, but if you're new here, but just stopping by to say hi, I wish you'd come back in the future, of course, please take this story to heart. Good worker, no problems, everybody loved me, including my bosses, and that happened. That was a beyond my control situation on the job. But it doesn't have to be beyond your control to save up for an emergency fund. Lucky for me, I had enough for 6 months of paying my bills. I didn't have to worry about my rent. I didn't have to worry about my utilities. The funds were there. Please, I'm asking every single one of you viewing, if you don't have an emergency fund, you just don't know what's going to happen. So please put a little something away every single paycheck. Deal? Deal. Figure out your monthly expenses, times it by 6, or start small, times it by 1. Some of you are saying, I can't even do 1. Yes, you can. You increase your income. You sell things. Have a plan in place. My heart went out to a few who didn't have that, and they were friends of mine. nice co-workers, wonderful people. They weren't ready. They did not have an easy time. So if there's any reason to set up an emergency fund, don't forget my story. And it was worth bearing repeating. In the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thank you so much for viewing. Why? Because I really do appreciate you. Don't forget to come back in the future for some more savings tips, tricks, recipes, and important real life stories. You just never know. Okay, I'm going to give you a wave, and then, no, I'm going to play my outro, then give you a wave, and I'll be right back. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Remember, you can do it. You are empowered. Take care, everyone.